I'm James Thompson. I'm an assistant professor here at George Mason University in the Department of Psychology. My research is mainly focused on the perception of human actions and biological motion. So I got interested in biological motion for a couple of reasons. One reason is that it is quite a complex visual stimulus, but humans are able to perceive it very easily. And it sort of fascinated me how we can take this complex dynamic stimuli and easily extract important social information. So understanding that process, that extraction of the visual cues, is something that really fascinated me. And as a sort of visual paradigm and as a experimental paradigm, there's a lot of important questions that we can start to address using this biological motion stimuli. So sort of the findings from this can extend out to other types of visual stimuli. In particular, how different visual cues become integrated to form a whole visual stimulus is one of the key things that interests me. That's sort of the basic science motivation. The other motivation is that biological motion is very important for social cognition and understanding other people's cues. Obviously, non-verbal cues are important for how we interact with other people. You can see I'm waving my hands around or trying not to. So understanding that process is the other direction that interests me. It forms the basis, biological motion forms the basis of social cognition. So understanding that is key to understanding how we interact with other people. And when the perception of biological motion goes wrong, it can lead to social communication disorders. Disorders such as schizophrenia and autism have been linked to impairments and deficits in the perception of biological motion. So understanding the basic processes will perhaps help us to understand when it goes wrong. So my research here at George Mason is focused on how we see other people, particularly how we see them move and understand their actions. We do this using a variety of techniques. We use psychophysics and behavioral methods. We also use EEG and event-related potentials, but a large proportion of our research is using a technique called functional magnetic resonance imaging, or fMRI. So we use fMRI to look at the brain regions that are critical for the perception of biological motion. One of the core areas or aspects of biological motion that we're interested in is the role of attention in the processing of human movements, particularly if attention is required in order to understand what another person is doing, or if it can be processed automatically or without our sort of focus or awareness. So one of the key findings that we've found recently that my grad student Ashley, who's just over there, has published on, is showing that attention is in fact required. It's long been thought that the perception of biological motion is reasonably automatic and can be done sort of in the background. Ashley's research has shown nicely that that's not actually the case, that particularly when there are other competing stimuli in our visual field, attention is required.